What's going on in the ports, and we have a lot going on in the ports. So we're fortunate to have with us Noel Hacegaba, the Managing Director of Commercial Operations and Chief Commercial Officer for the Port of Long Beach, who will be giving a presentation, followed by Gene Seroka, the Executive Director for the Port of Los Angeles. So Noel, come on up.
Let's see, there we go. Good afternoon. It's good to be here with you again. For the Port of Long Beach, it's always a pleasure to be part of this amazing summit. And I know I say it every year, but I mean it gets bigger and better. And the panels I've seen so far have been amazing, including the one that just took place. And the great thing for us as a Port Authority is we get to hear about all the neat things that you're doing, all the innovation, all the advances that you're making to improve the supply chain, which of course benefits our gateways. So kudos to all of you. Give yourself a hand for all the amazing work that you're doing. Yeah. So I know that this is the final session and dinner follows us. So when Nick said we had 10 minutes, I'm sure he meant it. So I'm going to go through this very quick, put together a few slides, giving you an update on the commercial side of the house. I'm going to begin with something that is not talked about a lot, but it represents about 20% of our operating revenues, and that's the non-container side of the house. Just want to give you a quick snapshot. Our performance in the last full year has been very positive, in some cases double digits, but we're very proud to be a diversified port. About 20% of our business is non-containerized. On the container side of the house, the last full year, calendar 2017, was a breakout year for the Port of Long Beach. Set a new milestone, 7.5 million TEU for the first time ever, which is remarkable when you consider what happened just a year before. You might remember that in 2016, the shipping line industry faced the largest bankruptcy in its history. And we were directly impacted. About 30% of our cargo was impacted by that bankruptcy. But we were very fortunate because within 6 months, we were able to bring in a new partner at our largest terminal, TTI, and that's MSC. And it has been a complete turnaround. Very, very pleased to see that. So far for fiscal year 18, which for us begins in October and runs through September, on a fiscal year basis, we're doing very well, and our revenues are tracking very well along with our volumes. For this year, 2018, the momentum that we saw in 2017 has continued. Through the first 6 months of 2018, we've seen great progress on the volume side. In fact, for the month of June alone, we set a new milestone. Our terminal operators at the Port of Long Beach handled over 752,000 TEU, which is the largest ever for a single month, and for the year, about 14.5%. This is imports, exports, and empties, so it's all boxes. We don't discriminate for this. So looking ahead, we were asked to provide an outlook. There are a few things that we're tracking very closely. It's the global economy, and I'll talk a little bit about that. U.S. trade policy, which I'm sure you're all following very closely. Labor stability, I can tell you that on the West Coast, we have labor peace through 2022, and we thank our partners at the ILWU and the PMA for that. Inventory management and consolidation on the liner shipping side continues to improve week by week, and I'll touch a little bit about that. So when you consider all these factors, potential headwinds, some tailwinds, we're looking to end the year, calendar year 2018, at about 4% over last year, which would again set another milestone for the Port of Long Beach. On a fiscal year basis, it's a little better because it includes the last part of last year, which was very strong for us. We think we'll land somewhere in about 10% range. So on the ocean carrier side of things, the new alliances have been around for just over a year. So far, so good. And I think what they've demonstrated is that there is network optimization, there is some efficiency gains that have been achieved, and that's all being seen in the numbers that we're seeing at our port. What continues, a continuing trend, is they continue to invest in bigger and bigger ships. This is a very busy chart, but the punchline is very simple. over 42% of the ships on order to date are between 18,000 and 21,000 TEU ships. And there are already ships that are larger that are on the drawing board. So that trend continues. Another trend, maybe the beginning of a new trend, is that as ships get bigger, they're also getting bolder and brighter. By the way, this is not photoshopped. This is the actual color. This is the Ocean Network Express, the conglomeration of 3 Japanese lines. And according to the president of ONE and my daughter, it's not pink, it's magenta, in case you're wondering. So what's driving a lot of the investments in these bigger ships? What's driving this? Well, of course, economics, right? When you look at the market for freight rates, the good news for our shipping line partners is that they are 4 digits, but I'm sure they would like to see that a little higher. It ebbs and flows, but of course, as capacity is being introduced into the market, it drives that number down. So that's something that we track as well from a Port Authority standpoint to see how our shipping line partners are responding to supply and demand. Another figure that we track that I'm sure many of you track is the ratio between inventory and sales. What percentage of inventory is being sold? How much of that product is crossing the cash register versus the product that's in the warehouse or in the distribution center? And I like to use this chart because it illustrates how the supply chain has changed. Back in 2008, at the peak or at the beginning of the Great Recession, we saw that inventory sales ratio peak at about 1.48. And what that represented at that time is that there weren't as many sales as there was inventory coming in. We saw that figure go up again in about 2015, 2016, but for a different reason, because if you look at the market, then the consumers are buying. E-commerce is driving a lot of this. E-commerce is about getting the product closer to the end consumer. E-commerce is driving a lot more inventory holdings in order to make sure that that product is closer to the consumer. So we believe that this peaking, if you will, this inventory sales ratio has to do with that. Of course, we follow all the other economic indicators that you all follow. GDP is solid, 4.1%. Unemployment rate is still at near historic lows. The federal funds target rate, which was just announced yesterday, was decided to hold it steady after being increased by about 25 basis points the month before. But another sign that the fundamentals of the economy are strong. So we're very, very optimistic and very heartened by that. But of course, all of us are tracking the tariffs very closely. How many of you are following the tariffs? Right? Okay. How many of you are concerned about tariffs? All right, good. So when you look at what's happening between the tariffs between the United States and China, here in Southern California, we are primarily a Trans-Pacific gateway, right? So it's a concern to us. But just to demonstrate how complex this is, it's not enough to say, well, trade between this country and that country could affect our operations, could affect our business. I just want to use this as an illustration to explain how sophisticated, how complex the supply chain is today. What you see on the screen are what we call aluminum ingots. And these are essentially blocks of aluminum. These are formed in a smelting plant in Canada, and then they're transported to a plant in Kentucky, where they're converted into these rolls. These aluminum rolls are then exported into Mexico, where they're turned into cars. And then these cars from that assembly plant in Mexico are then shipped to Asia, shipped to Latin America, shipped here to the United States. So when you look at the supply chain, it really is global, right? This is why Nick calls this the global supply chain, right? And it's very integrated. So when we look at trade policies between just two countries, we got to amplify the perspective, amplify the context, because today's supply chains are much, much broader. So just one final note on tariffs. When we look at what's been approved and what's on the awning, our preliminary estimates are that the first $50 billion of tariffs that were announced recently, adopted in July, we estimate that could potentially impact our complete exposure. Worst case scenario, that trade stops is about 7 to 8%. But if you look out and you consider the $200 billion that are currently being discussed, that obviously would bring that figure closer to well over 20%. So it's something that we're tracking very closely. And it's something that we're relying on all of you, the supply chain players, the supply chain, to understand how you see these things and what you're doing in response. So what are we doing as a Port Authority? Well, we continue to build our infrastructure out, trying to build on our value proposition. The ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach enjoy a wonderful geography. You can see that when it comes to transit time. We have some advantages over the all-water route, about an 11-day advantage over the Panama Canal route, for instance, to get goods into the interior of the United States. We also enjoy rail flexibility in both ports, Los Angeles and Long Beach. We have about 75 weekly train departures that leave our port on a weekly basis, which no other gateway offers. And the other thing worth noting is that about almost 2 billion square feet of distribution space and warehouse space just within 75 miles of the port. And again, this is an amazing advantage when you consider that most of the cargo that enters our gateway eventually ends up east of the Mississippi. Another thing that we've been doing in collaboration with our sister port Los Angeles is basically getting more involved, getting more engaged on the operational side. We are landlord ports, but over the last 3-4 years, we've gotten ourselves a little more involved on the operations side to see how we can help facilitate solutions, help facilitate innovation, and it's been very successful. Thanks to all of your efforts, thanks to everyone in the supply chain and all the innovation that you're driving from where you sit in the supply chain. One example, which I'm sure Mr. Seroka will be talking at length about, is a new partnership with General Electric. This is something that the Port of Los Angeles started about a couple of years ago. We entered into a partnership with General Electric ourselves late last year, and in fact we're getting close to deploying a pilot project which essentially deploys this product that brings end-to-end visibility into the broader supply chain. We're very excited about this because it harnesses the power of information and enables the movement of information, of data, to make sure that real-time on the ground and on the water decisions are made in a more accurate way. So we're very excited about this project. The pilot will be deployed starting in the next couple of weeks. We'll run for a few months, and we'll be looking forward to seeing the progress there. Another example of how emerging technologies are being adopted at the port is this example. There's a terminal at the Port of Long Beach, and there's also one at the Port of Los Angeles that's employing predictive availability. Today, all of you in the industry know that you can't book an appointment to pick up a load at a terminal until the ship arrives and the box is discharged from the vessel. Well, this allows the truckers and their shippers to book an appointment 5 days before a ship arrives. So you talk about the advantage of speed, the advantage that this technology and predictive availability enables. It's truly awesome. And finally, all of our terminal operators and our partners are doing different things, employing appointment systems, tweaking the gate management system, doing what they can to make sure that cargo flows through our gateway in the most efficient, most seamless way possible. So with all these efforts, with the massive investments that we're making into our physical infrastructure, and with the growing support from all of you in the supply chain and the port ecosystem to invest in technologies that enable this movement, we're feeling very optimistic about the supply chain here in Southern California. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time, and I think I'm well within the 10 minutes. Okay, terrific. And the last thing I'll say is fight on.
Good afternoon. I'm Gene Seroka, the Executive Director at the Port of Los Angeles. And since we last met, there have been a few things that have taken place. So I'd like to start off with a quick video sharing a little bit about the accomplishments and the pathway forward at the Port of LA.
Instead of running on diesel power while at berth, AMP equipped ships plug into the power grid, virtually eliminating ship emissions.
The fuel cell technology can make the society as a true zero-emissions powertrain for the future.
The CAAP will provide a roadmap to get us to our ultimate goal of zero emissions here in our joint ports.
In our 12-month period, ending June 30th of this year, we handled our 9 millionth TU here at the Port of Los Angeles, and it was done here on this evergreen vessel.
2017 was an exciting year for us in the Environmental Management Division. Cargo went up and emissions went down at the same time, and that's really hard to do.
Project labor agreements are a highly effective way for us to channel good-paying, local job opportunities into large-scale infrastructure projects.
While still in its pilot phase, the GE Transportation Port of Los Angeles Port Optimizer won its first 2 awards. The 2017 Outstanding IT Project Award from the City of LA and the AAPA's Information Technology Award.
APM Terminals at Pier 400 was able to utilize their newly raised cranes to efficiently handle the 13,000 TEU Maersk Evora.
This realignment of Harbor Boulevard literally changes the landscape of our waterfront. It will provide a wonderful gateway into our future San Pedro public market.
The 2017 Clean Air Action Plan update. All in favor? Aye.
No opposed. Motion passes unanimously.
From this site, we can change the world.
We can help make the future. That's what All to See is about.
So those are just a few examples in our business entity, what we're doing in the community, and on the environmental stewardship level of what we're attempting to accomplish. I've got just a few slides as we lead into 5 o'clock to share in a little more depth and breadth what's taking place now. And I think we're going to move to perfect, absolutely fantastic. As we've talked about in this forum before, probably the most complex infrastructure project on the face of the earth. Now, today, 13 liner shipping companies calling it our ports complex, 13 marine terminals, more than 100 trains a day coming in and out, 16,000 truckers moving cargo in and around, 60,000 truck moves a day, and 200,000 cargo owners whose products traverse this port on an annual basis, none of which who has more than a 2% market share of what takes place. Trying to bring all of those folks together is no easy task. Some of what we've heard this morning and this afternoon and the headwinds that we face in trade are very real. And what is estimated to be taking place is simply a little bit different than we're normally accustomed to, and we really, as an industry, do not handle uncertainty very well. And I think probably, as has been discussed here throughout the day, tariff items leading to uncertainty and uneven cargo flows are probably the biggest challenge that we face right now. Cargo to the United States was down precipitously in the months of April and May, with a pop in June and an even bigger uptick in the month of July. At the same time, trying to predict downline orders is also going to be a little bit difficult. Trying to understand who's going to come in under the shadow of a tariff, a perceived tariff, or even while we're in a public comment period. Just spent the last 10 days in Asia on a trade mission with Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, and that was a very constant theme. Not knowing what's going to take place next, what is real, what is retaliatory, how do we get our way through this rough time of sledding is on everyone's mind. Will this impact trade patterns? Will cargo move to other locations while capacities of manufacturing facilities are at all-time highs? Will it just simply mean a tax on what you and I buy at the store? Is that going to impact disposable and discretionary income, therefore leading to a lessening of boxes that move through this and other port complexes? All questions that remain to be seen. And for us, it's very important because, as we've discussed in this venue before, 1 in 9 jobs are tied to these great ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. That's more than 1 million people in Southern California that go to work every day reliant upon this port. And I think the biggest fact of all is that in the United States, and no different in Southern California, 50% of all of our imports go directly into the manufacturing stream. These are the companies that we want to be competitive. These are the jobs that we want to grow in this country. But seemingly there is an impact already. Pulling forward those inventories is great to get under the guise of some sort of taxation, but realistically, where do you put all the product? Southern California has less than a 1% availability rate in commercial warehousing today. You bring a lot more product in, where do you put it? So these are things that as we try to work around supply chain optimization, digitization, and planning with all of our business partners, from the Western Railroads to the PHL, to the truck community, chassis providers, and the all-important cargo owners, both import and export, the task is very tall. As Noel described just moments ago, since we last met, a couple of new partnerships, a couple on their way, some work that the Department of Justice is doing, and obviously some more partnerships that will come down the line as well. We're now dealing with 3 large entities who hit the reset button every April 1, so being ahead of that curve and watching very closely in partnership as to the waterborne architecture deployment designs will continue to be very important for this market as we move into the future. Our focus remains the same. Looking at our land use, whether it be repurposed or trying to pull chassis off marine terminals and put them in specific locations, to what we're doing on supply chain optimization and rallying people together for one cause and a succinct look at the future of higher velocity, but also predictability and reliability is key. On the technology front, it was also just covered on the great breakthrough that General Electric has created. We thought at one point we would have a line of sight between 10 and 14 days before vessels came to LA and Long Beach. Now we go as deep as 39 days. Having that information, especially in these uncertain times, is so very important to make sure that we can bring people together, have the right assets, human capital, and equipment at the proper location just when we need it. This is also going to lead us into some other unique areas. As we look towards 5G, private LTE networks, and the carve-outs of spectrum, having new ways to open up the floodgates on information flow is going to be very important. The ports have been known for decades to be able to provide that necessary bricks and mortar along with water infrastructure. Now, it's time to step up and provide that digital infrastructure as well. It'll allow us to get into an environment with the Internet of Things, look at edge computing and asset performance management. So as we continue to work in these areas, I think it's going to be equally as important that our private sector partners work very closely with us as we try to carve out new regulations, opportunities, licensing agreements, as well as funding for this digital infrastructure age. Workforce development is another key. Understanding businesses like the trucking industry, where an annual attrition rate reaches and exceeds 20%, where the average age of a driver is 57 years old. And in the port drayage business, drivers continue to struggle with gate and truck turn times that are at the highest levels in the nation. Working to do better in this area and find the leadership of tomorrow, whether it be in the administrative side of the business, organized labor, or those pockets of skilled labor that lack the necessary employment levels today, are all areas that we're taking responsibility for. Aveen Sharma, who is with us now at the Port of Los Angeles, is leading these efforts and trying to do some work ahead of time on sector reviews and really plan out 5, 10, and 15 years from now what's going to be necessary for this port complex and logistics industry to succeed and how we can best build up the talent capabilities. That could mean upskilling and reskilling existing folks in all spectrum of the business, or trying to bring new folks in and get them acquainted with the supply chain and the work that this great industry can bring for future employment requirements. Part of the stakeholder engagement is also working at the national level, and it was mentioned this morning by Jim Sullivan how the Advisory Committee on Supply Chain Competitiveness in the Department of Commerce aspires to do just that. I'm now in my second term on this advisory committee, which was originally meant to be bipartisan in nature and go through administrations, and we're starting to see just that. With some new entries to the committee, we're also gathering folks of different mindsets so we can put together great ideas. And just this past spring, the Port of Los Angeles hosted the advisory committee to take a look at a number of different offerings, whether it was new ideas on rail from Hyperloop, what we're doing in the areas of digitization, or where current cargo flows may have impacts on the rest of the nation that we can provide a little bit of forward sight to right here in LA. We talked a little bit about the Clean Air Action Plan, and some of the interesting aspects of this are really where the focus needs to be today, and that is the aspiration of a zero emissions heavy-duty drayage sector by the year 2035. And by the year 2030, all marine terminal handling equipment being of zero emissions variety by that time frame. Now, the work in this area is one where we can just draw a line in the ground and say you must comply by these dates. But we're taking a little bit more of a thoughtful approach, bringing together in enclaves of original equipment manufacturers and tiered suppliers, asking them to bring along their engineers and scientists to find ways to get us to that area, while maintaining technology neutrality, trying to create competition in arenas that have yet to be built or in early and nascent stages. Very encouraged by folks like Volvo and Mack Truck, like Toyota, who's working on the hydrogen fuel cell technology today, not only in pilot testing for the heavy-duty truck, but marine terminal equipment as well. And so many others who have come to the table already with prototypes or opportunities for pilot testing. David Rich mentioned this morning that the city of LA, and that for the city of Long Beach, also wants to be that test lab. With a combined 15,000 acres of port property, we can really get companies to market much faster than they can in other areas of testing endeavor. And with that work, we'll see much more collaboration, but that is the ask of everyone here today. Private sector, academia, and the public sector is continue to work together. Some of these things that we need to keep working on, optimization, technology advancements, or digitization, are all before us. And what's heartened me the most is the capabilities, whether it be the cohort under Nick's purview that comes down to the port and continues to work on optimizing terminals while creating great scripting and algorithmic formulas to do just that, to what's happened in the private sector with partnerships such as with MSC and others who have jumped onto the digitization idea early on in pilot test and now are ready to go to market in full force. And with that, I thank you. It's a privilege to attend again the 6th annual conference and look forward to much more good dialogue around this subject. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gene. Thank you, Noel. Great stuff. It really is the highlight from every year is seeing what's going on at the port. There's always a lot going on. Okay, just a couple things. So raise your hand if you met 10 new people today. Nice. Very well done. Very well done. The Global Supply Chain Master's students from cohorts 1 to 5 meet over here for a picture. And then, lastly, hey, thanks for being here today. We start off at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Hope you had an enjoyable day, learned a lot, and great presenters, great panelists. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Thank you.